Punch Drunk Love is a 2002 romantic comedy written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. Barry Egan is an introverted salesman with social anxiety. In his loneliness, he calls a phone sex line. But the woman on the other end, Georgia, and her boss, Dean, use Barry's personal information to extort money from him. He enters into an awkward but fulfilling romance with a woman named Lena. Dean's underlings attack Barry and Lena, but Barry's love seems to give him the strength and confidence to fight them off. He also confronts and intimidates Dean, and he ends up in a committed relationship with Lena. Punch Drunk Love marked a surprising turn in director Paul Thomas Anderson's career, previously winning international acclaim and Academy recognition with films like Boogie Nights and Magnolia. When Anderson told people he wanted to make a romantic comedy with Adam Sandler, some may have thought that was a joke. But he did it, and it's actually an exceptional film. Barry's world is claustrophobic, surrounded by people who demean him and disrespect him, and conversely, forced to suffer through bouts of loneliness due to his frustration with dealing with other people. In these scenes, we, the audience, are connected to Barry and chained to his feelings through long takes. Wonders create this inescapable feeling, and that, combined with the percussive soundtrack, give us the sense that Barry is both trapped and under a lot of pressure.
Yes, I do.
This is Lena. She's a good friend of mine from work. We were in the neighborhood and she had to pick up her car and we're getting breakfast before we go in. So did you want to go? We're going to go eat. Let's go.
In this scene, Barry is merely talking to Lena before they become a couple, but it is scored and shot in such a way to resemble an action scene. This opening shot signals Barry's isolation as well. We know a great deal about the character before he even faces the camera. We receive a lot of sensory information throughout Punch Drunk Love. The transitions and credit sequences, full of color, are not only beautiful, they are significant. This video artwork by Jeremy Blake tells the audience that we are venturing into something ambiguous, emotionally expressionistic. The colors distort the audience, giving us that punch-drunk feeling. Speaking of color, the compositions of the shots in the film most frequently use blue, red, and white. These colors express the internal feelings of Barry, his mood, his progression. Barry wears a blue suit throughout the film, and when questioned about why, he does not have an answer. Blue brings to mind sadness, depression. Barry confides in someone that he does not like himself, and cries, without having an answer to that either. This connects sadness and blue, his meaningless suit, to a subtextual meaning, if not narrative. Red is the color of change, of progression towards happiness for Barry. Lena wears a red dress on their first date. When he makes a bold decision to fly to Hawaii to find her, he is wearing a red necktie instead of his blue tie. He is greeted by people dressed in red. The inciting action of the film is the sudden and unexplained delivery of the harmonium. It is dropped off by a taxicab, colored red as well. When Barry is working out a plan to change his life through frequent flyer miles, a blurred red woman follows him in the background. A subconscious desire. When he stops, the woman stops too. He turns and she walks off. This actually leads him to the best frequent flyer mile deal that allows him to follow Lena, who is often traveling for work. Also related to red being his subconscious desire for change, when Barry is running away from the henchman, a red arrow points him in the direction of his escape. Red is often the color of love. In this film, it is, but it is also the color of change and happiness. White is often seen engulfing Barry, such as in this scene. White is the color that inhabits many of the barren, lifeless rooms throughout the film, and Barry's existence. If blue is his mood, and red is his salvation, then white is his oppressor. Even his workplace looks like a big white box, a prison. The story of a much younger Barry throwing a hammer through a window is recounted several times in the film. Despite his body language that would suggest it is humiliating, his sisters persist. And since Barry does not deal with his emotions well at all, he breaks glass again. This recurring idea of Barry imprisoned behind a glass barrier is present throughout Punch Drunk Love. Light and dark also reoccur in the film. Lena is showered in natural light when she and Barry initially meet. Immediately after she leaves, Barry slinks into the shadows. He is often a silhouette, moving in shadow. His anxiety takes over and he does not want to be seen. Here, his sister tries to set him up on a date. It is lit in such a way that his sister is in the light, but Barry is obscured in darkness. This happens many times in the film. In the first scene, as Barry crosses the frame, the camera stays with him. He enters a void and finds the exit. Barry has left his world. This first shot introduces the idea that Barry's isolated world and the rest of the world are two different realms.
I sometimes cry a lot for no reason.
When greater intimacy happens between Barry and Lena, there are noticeable lens flares, including one at the very end of the film. There's a lot of information that is displayed visually rather than through dialogue in Punch Drunk Love. The most notable symbol in the film is the harmonium, mysteriously dropped off in front of Barry's workplace. When Barry first recovers and opens the harmonium, a light washes over his face. There is a benefit to his risk of bringing something from the outside world into his safe realm inside the warehouse. The chance that touching a foreign object could change his life. The harmonium represents the sudden love affair between Barry and Lena. The root word of harmonium, after all, is harmony. It rests between them, in this scene, with a few cracks held together by duct tape. By the end, Barry can play, and the two harmonize together. When we are first introduced to Dean, we see another harmonium on the left side of the frame, unused. Dean either does not understand love, or had it once but lost it. The final shot actually brings together all the visual elements of the film. Lena enters from the light, of course, and she is wearing a red outfit. She finds Barry in darkness. They both admire the harmonium, their relationship, and she brings him into the light. The lens flares, and we end there. Barry's desire for a mate is hindered by several factors. First, his 7 emasculating sisters frequently undermine his confidence, question his sexuality, and embarrass him. The sister who interferes most in his life seemingly does so out of a desire to set him up, but comes across as patronizing and infantilizing, posing as a potential ally but not showing any actual respect to the individual's wishes. Seeing no real allies and having no real knowledge of relationships, Barry confuses sex with intimacy and calls a sex hotline. Barry's relationship with Lena is both his escape and also his attempt to create his own family, his own unit, seeing as how his actual relatives have shown themselves to be insensitive. That is not to say Barry is an angel. Barry is prone to aggressive, even violent outbursts. Paul Thomas Anderson's films travel in dark places, but there is a surprising sense of hopefulness and a reoccurring, cohesive theme of unusual pairings and non-traditional families that still love each other. In his only romantic comedy, Anderson proposes that love is an incredible strength. Before Barry's relationship with Lena is in full swing, he is easily dispatched by Dean's henchmen. During the relationship, however, Barry takes on all 4 with ease, annihilating them in defense of both himself and Lena. Now obviously, in the real world, love does not make you physically strong, able to tower over a horde of henchmen, but we're seeing something figurative manifest itself literally in the film. Towards the end, when he confronts Dean about the extortion and the assault, Barry says that his love has given him the strength to put a stop to this, and he does. Dean backs down almost instantly, fearing and recognizing Barry's newfound strength.
I'm a nice man. I mind my own business. So you tell me that's that before I beat the hell from you.
I have no interest in the goofy fan theories that populate conversation about this film. Nobody need ask. They're harmless, but the fringe is rarely as interesting as the center. Love as a strength is this film's core, its heart. When Barry becomes upset and punches a wall, the scrapes on his knuckles appear to spell out the word love. It's not cloying, though, not saccharine. Love is messy, the film posits, but the strength one gains from it could make it worth the effort. Thanks for watching the latest episode of Renegade Cut, everyone. If you want to support the show, you can click the orange link to my Patreon. That's how all of this happens. If you want to subscribe and never miss an episode, click on the red link. If you want to watch more, there are some recommended videos below. I'll see you next week for another episode.